Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Talks. I am Victor, and here with me is Julie, and this is our season two, episode one of Tech Talks.
Welcome back.
We did have a bit of a break for not necessarily for summer. We just had a lot of busy time, and so we did take a break from Tech Talks, and so just bringing it back, I decided that just calling it season two, since it was over summer, was the best way to do it. And we do have some new news for you, and also questions from Julie. So, what was your recent question?
My most recent question is a virtual private network. I want to know a little more about this. It's something that I saw advertised recently, and so it raised the question, why would I need that? Do I need that? Should I have that?
So, the virtual private networks right now, NordVPN is being advertised on almost all the YouTube channels that they can pay for, and having a virtual private network is a good thing to do. It allows you to remain more anonymous on the internet, and when you're browsing, people can't specifically find you. The way it works is um, essentially, if you have a house with all your electronics on it on the same Wi-Fi, all of those electronics are part of a network, and a virtual network is just making that house extend to as far as you want, right? That network of your house, it could extend all across the globe because it's not a physical router that you're all linking to. It's like a virtual web.
So it includes other people's IP addresses.
Essentially creates like a shared pool of bunch of IP addresses, if you go to a site like Facebook, it can't backtrack which of those is the one accessing its site.
Hmm. So tell me more about the ways that it makes it harder for someone to hack you, I guess, then, or how do they hack you?
So essentially, a network kind of is your first barrier of defense when it comes to being attacked. So somebody has to be able to get into the network
to hack you at all?
Be able to hack you at all.
Oh, so if you have this, then you wouldn't even need a firewall and other protections?
It's still good to have a protection. So it's essentially an added layer of protection. Your IP is now, instead of a pool of several IPs from your home network, it would be lots of IPs, like generated IPs. Oftentimes it's routed through the network to even show a different IP than the IP that you're coming out from. So IP address is essentially like your address, your computer's address on the internet.
Okay, yeah.
And when you are on your own network, your network gives your computer an address.
Each device on your network has an address.
Your device has on your network has an address. Now, when it goes to your router, which is distributing the Wi-Fi, that router reroutes that IP address. So all communications through that will actually extend out only through one IP address. And it's going to be different than the one that's coming from your computer or any device. It's going to have a whole different number set. That singular IP address then goes to your modem. Your modem is what connects you to the internet. The modem also changes the IP address.
If you have a virtual private network?
No, it already has.
Always?
Yeah. So you have what is called your internal IP and your external IP.
Okay.
So if you go onto your computer and you look IP config on the command prompt, anybody that knows what I'm talking about will know what I mean. there's going to be two different slots. There's going to be your IP address for your computer, and then your gateway address, which is the IP address for the router.
Uh-huh.
And then if you ask Google what is my IP address, you'll get a whole different number.
You can ask Google what your IP address is?
Yes, you can ask Google what your IP. You just type in what is my IP and it'll tell you.
So if you have a VPN, will it still be able to?
So what it does is that external IP address, when you route it through a VPN, changes it another time to a different IP.
So will Google know it?
It will know the very latest IP address that you've had. And that IP address could be somewhere from Bangladesh for all it knows.
Oh, because it's changing. So if you
because
have a
it's going
VPN.
to a network somewhere that's not at your home.
Hmm.
Because when you use the IP address that comes from your internet company, it can find out where that IP address is located.
Mm-hmm.
But if you route it through another virtual private network that the network servers are in like Bangladesh or China or Europe, it might think of you as being in Europe. Oftentimes they'll actually let you choose what country you want to be in so that you can get better service, because if you're going too far away, it takes a while for the websites to come back to you, because the websites have to take the same wiring back towards you.
Oh, so it can make a delay in...
Yeah, the more routing that you go through, the longer delay. Like, it's milliseconds of time, but it definitely can affect how long, especially if you're doing it like gaming and stuff.
Mm.
So having a VPN, added layer of security. It's essentially like having two routers at your house, but one of them, instead of it being at your house, could be somewhere else in the country, and everybody thinks you're over there when you're really over here.
And as long as they think you're over there, you're safe because they can't get.
I mean, there's still people that are super hackers that can figure it out, that can break through the firewalls and things like that. And but it is an added layer, and it's especially if you are prone to being hacked, if you are a public figure, if you are any kind of more of a high-end business, anybody that might be targeted, businesses, or if you're a higher up in a business, you might want to, if you have confidential information, that kind of stuff. Now, the NordVPN is the one that's being sold, but there are free versions of virtual private networks as well. Off the top of my head, I can't actually think of which one, but there definitely exists, and I might be able to come back on the next episode with a couple suggestions.
All right.
And then what I had for you, though, was a couple things. First was I found this at the on the article on The Sun. They had brought to light this extension that Google's brought out earlier this year of it's a password checkup extension, and what it does is it's an extension for your Chrome browser. Once you install it, any site that you're on, it checks the password that you use to log into that site, and it has a list of all username password combinations that have been known to have been hacked, and checks to see if that password combination is on that list. And then that way it'll give you an error saying, hey, just so you know, the password combination that you have for the site is on the list of bad passwords.
And you download an app, or
it's a Chrome extension.
An extension.
Yeah, it's gonna be, you know how Chrome has like all those little update extensions that you can use to, how do you say, just do random things. Like if you have the Keep extension, you can just click on it and it saves the web page to the Keep extension automatically. You never used the extensions before?
I'm not sure if I understand what an extension is now.
So here, let me...
So it's not a widget.
No, it's
And it's not a full app.
No, it's these things right here. So if I go to
So
Google
with
Chrome,
okay, so within a browser, it's just like a little
it's
icon
like
within the
it's
browser.
like almost like a mini app built into the browser
Okay.
for the browser. So here I have an extension for my calendar, and then I can add things to my calendar just by typing in, dinner at 7 with friends, and it will then add that with the time and everything to my calendar. I also have the remote desktop if I want to connect remotely to clients and stuff.
All right. That is interesting.
So it's an extension that allows you to check out to see if your passwords are good. It's the extension is called Google Password Checkup Extension. And if you just Google that, you'll find it'll be the first result. Really cool. Very useful for especially for anybody. I know a lot of people that get their Facebook things hacked. So you can definitely utilize this to help prevent any spam that is being used through your account.
Yeah. That's been a
Also, this is a kind of a Windows fix or a Windows helper thing because a lot of people have trouble using Windows because they keep saying like it gets slow, it gets groggy, temporal, and whenever somebody asks like a tech, they're like, well, a lot of times Windows ends up keeping a lot of temp files, and over time the hard drive gets built up, and a lot of these things
So what do you
slow
do?
down. So Windows 10 actually does have a feature.
Only Windows 10?
Well, other computers have
Other
other features like Mac and Apple. Windows 7 and Windows 8 and anything below are becoming outdated at this point. So I tried to just focus on the latest for Windows 10 because
Okay.
at this point those other are going to be losing support here soon. So Windows 10 has a built-in app called Storage Sense, and it allows you to. What it does is it just goes through every so often and removes temp files, clears out your trash bin for you, does all that like background maintenance, so that you don't have to. I believe you have to turn it on in order for it to do it, but you just go into your Google or not Google. You go into your Start menu and you just search Storage Sense, and it'll show up for you. And
That's pretty cool.
one last thing, uh, was for today. There's actually a few things that I have, but one last thing was the that Google Ads are actually preventing the word repair from
Oh,
being used as ads on
yeah.
Google, and so they claiming on Google or the Google side that it's to prevent uh the like contractors from having like fake or being like scams, stuff like that. But and they're applying it broadly, but there's a lot of people that can't help but to think that it's also like starting to like part of the fight against repairing your own systems.
Oh, because this is literally what you do. You repair screens, you repair computers, you repair game
Hmm.
systems, you repair all this stuff. But when when I first heard that Google was saying you couldn't use repair in advertisements with them, they literally took it down what he's paying for because the word repair. That
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
interesting. That is a problem
So there's a
for
lot of
consumers.
service stuff that because the word repair is in there,
Hmm.
the Google ads won't be allowed.
Especially related to tech or related to other things as well? Do
Other
you know?
things as well. They have contractors and
This, especially in a world where we're trying to cycle, why would this where it's encouraging people to buy new starts to
that because it gets them money.
It's a
They
problem.
want you to either use their services
Like
or
Google, but man, they should put that "do not be evil." That should go back in the.
that was it's been definitely frustrating, and I still have not been able to get, because they say there's some workarounds, like if you have to verify your site with Google or whatnot, but
It was strange to me when they said like you don't call it phone repair, but it's like what you're doing.
yeah.
And they said, oh, but that's we consider that installing software. Don't use the word repair. Wasn't that the thing
Yeah,
they called?
they thought that, yeah, they have part of the repair is like they're assuming that you're installing software or your own software, and you have to register your software with Google in order to be able to use it.
You're
It's
not installing any software, and it's
yeah.
frustrating that they won't accept that because literally.
On top of that, this was
Hmm.
actually going to be saved for later, but it does kind of coincide with this whole right to repair fight that's happening between the tech companies and third party. Apple has now activated some sort of a feature in their phones where they have married the motherboard and the battery, and and now the motherboard actually checks to see if the battery that is installed is the original battery that was for the motherboard. And if it doesn't match, the battery still will work. You still will get your battery indicator. But if you go into your settings and you check your battery, it will say that the battery needs service, no matter if it's a new battery or old battery. And it also doesn't work with original Apple batteries. Still, you couldn't take one from an old Apple phone and put it into a new phone.
It
Has to be
be
the
the
original
original
battery.
pair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is problematic that they're getting so this way is multi-million billion dollar company and people who are just as most of us like that's
It's
a problem.
actively making sure that consumers can't find the things that they want to, and they are being forced into, uh,
Upgrading.
yeah, upgrading or whatever monopoly that the tech company is trying to.
Hmm.
It is anti-competition
Like
and
consumerism.
anti-consumerism, and I don't. It's the only reason why I think it's allowed is because the
There's no
government
laws
doesn't.
against
Yeah, the
it.
government's way behind on this stuff and doesn't.
They're behind on a lot of tech. I'm noticing that more in little bits I learned. Oh, in this, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sitting too far away. Sorry about that.
But well, that was the news for today. It's and then I have a few other things. Those are just like some notes that over the break I grabbed some headlines thought I'd share with you.
Interesting.
And we will see you guys
On the next one.
next week when we are back for our next episode. Well, on YouTube, this is going to be coming up next week, but on the podcasts between Apple, Google, I'm actually behind because I finally found a site that can host all of the podcasts. So we're using Anchor to host the podcasts, so that now they'll be able to be available on Google, and all the podcasts will be available on Google and Apple. And oh yeah, and since we are on YouTube, please like and subscribe.